Depending on how this video does, I might do more breakdowns on just focus on specific armors. Well, one of my favorite armors is the Silver Centurion armor. It's really cool, and it just appeared in the new Avengers game. And I thought it would be a cool idea to make an excuse to make another Iron Man video, because Iron Man's cool and he's one of the most popular characters in Marvel, especially since the MCU. But before I go any farther, I have to give a quick shout out to those that have donated to the channel. It really does help out a lot, believe it or not.
Wants to make new friends.
There's been a lot of stuff going on in comics. You know, Iron Man's the smart guy that made a battle suit, so he made himself a superhero, right? There was this time in comics where this guy named Obadiah Stane took over the Stark company for a little while. His older classic suit got destroyed, so he had to make a newer and better suit. It was an experimental model design, so he wasn't sure if he wanted to do it or not. And that's how that happened. And that's when he wanted to suit up in this new Iron Man armor. It looks pretty freaking cool. Don't freaking lie. Flies away. One of the most unique designs. Iron Man is consistently in those powerhouse ranges, or medium powerhouse ranges, if that makes any sense. My other hour-long Iron Man video should kind of prove that, but yeah, this is just focusing on this armor, for example. He has force fields that can endure explosions like this. This new armor is no slouch when it comes to strength, still can lift heavy stuff up like this, plane and landed safely. He even hooked himself to a giant submarine base reactor, lifts it out of the water to make sure folk are safe. Lift up these trucks, light work. It's feats like this that people overlook. A tank, they're bulletproof, they take missiles. He can just tear and force a reinforced tank with relative ease. Get tossed jet, I'm too powerful. Tanks can weigh from 30 to 60 tons depending on how you look at it. Chain himself to these tanks, showing a certain level of power, smashes them together, right? Stuff that people overlook. Might I add, this was casual for Iron Man's raw strength. It's one thing to smash them together and they fall on the ground, but he smashed them together so hard they turned into basically rubble, if I might add that input. The armor has even shown to be powerful enough to fight beings like Ultron, blast them, punch it, slug it out, slugfest style. Isn't that epic? Even mountains thrown at him, he can drill through it. Raw strength. It's obvious that the suit can break the sound barrier. It has some pretty decent maneuverability. Like at the last second when he's about to hit the ground, he just makes a 90-degree turn and just keeps on going. Not to mention, it can easily achieve escape velocities. He was fighting Goliath. Yeah, it's cool stuff. He has new and improved super deluxe repulsors. You know, blast power type stuff. Here's this thing called pulse bolts. It's specially made to fight Ultron better than before. You can't siphon this armor's power the way you did my old suits. Of course, it can do energy volleys because it's upgraded. It can target. He can even shoot different directions even without his hands aiming in that direction. Did I mention that the shape and size of these pulse bolts can like change their shape? It states here, a trick I've never tried. Change the configuration of my pulse bolts. Make them big and wide enough to catch the falling pieces and disintegrate them. Hey, that's cool. And of course, here's the classic Unibeam. It states, I've tried every wavelength on my Unibeam. Variable light doesn't affect this plague at all. It can even shoot out an energy disruption beam. So it's not just straight energy blast on the Unibeams. It can be different forms of energy. His thermal Unibeam can melt stuff like ice cream. Ain't that crazy? Silver Centurion has his fair share of battle feats, been able to endure attacks from characters like MODOK, consistently fighting powerful characters like MODOK. I have a video about MODOK if you have your doubts about MODOK. He's even fought Spectrum before and can hang in there with characters like Spectrum. Yeah, he's consistently able to hang with all the people. Silver Centurion ain't no joke. He's fought a being possessed by Morgan Le Fay. He can shrug off heat blasts from villainous folk that have elemental type of stuff. So his suit ain't just some metal you can just burn and melt down that easily, right? He states he reconfigured the suit's coating. Iceman even attempted to freeze his armor, but he was able to break out. Iceman, a very powerful mutant, Omega level if I'm not mistaken. Other villains like Blizzard try to freeze him. No, you ain't just gonna freeze this suit, shatters it out. And duh, it better be bulletproof. Imagine making new Iron Man suits and they're not bulletproof. Of course they're bulletproof, right? Yep, another occasion of that. Hit him with different blasts more than once ain't gonna make a difference, guys. Straight up laser beams, Unibeam style, through the chest, right? He uses it in many occasions to take out his villains. That's like one of his end-all be-all techniques. I wonder what's better, his blast power or his punching power. This is interesting. They call it plasma missiles at times. Use these abilities to take out his foes. This Freon stream should stabilize the fumes. Then I can use it to freeze moisture in the air. He has this type of equipment in his suit, just battled up, and temporarily seal the breach with ice. Yeah, this is how he puts out his fires. This is how he handles a lot of these situations Clutch. I just want to say, it's easy to overlook feats like this. Please keep note, this was the entire Manhattan thrown at him with velocity, and he was able to blast it away, showing way more than city level bustings of raw attack power just from inanimate object feats. This armor even made an appearance in the recent stuff like the Superior Iron Man event. It's implied even though he had some superior armors like the liquid metal armor, which is one of my favorites, he still had these type of suits in his base of operations, the Silver Centurion still. No, I wasn't playing when I said he has a lot of different armors, including the Silver Centurion. Of course, him being an Iron Man villain and the Silver Centurion, he has faced against beings like Mandarin before, in a war against Mandarin. Mandarin having the skill advantage, I would say, though, for sure. This is not even the Silver Centurion, but different armor. But yeah, facing Mandarin, able to react to quick people like Mandarin. His suit also has ultrasonic frequencies to disrupt. Short circuit, stuff like that. Love these type of technical things that makes him unique. They usually discombobulate the inner eardrums. You see him holding his ears. You can't have an Iron Man suit not have electrical discharge, right? Helping Steve out in this occasion, it says, the electrical charge I channeled through my gauntlet won't harm Steve, but keep him immobile for a while. He has these quote-unquote pencil lasers from his gauntlets that should jam their tracking systems, and he does it with precision, by the way. He can use it to bisect stuff with extreme precision. This little power dampening on his ankle to access extremist powers. That's the type of things you need to use. Silver Centurion. He has a concentrated heat lance to ignite the fuel supply in his body's boot jet. And of course he has a disruptor field, all types of hexy stuff, taking out all kinds of techie stuff, if that makes sense. To test the suit's muscle. All he has to do is fly close to them and use the disruptor field, and they will take effect. It'll knock out their electrical systems. Has the epic ability of let me fire everything I've got from here. Like I'm talking about repulsors, radio waves, electromagnetism, the whole, yeah, he has electromagnetism, by the way, the whole arsenal. He can just do that when it comes to his blast power. Imagine that. When it comes to Iron Man in general, force fields is not really nothing new, but at the same time, during the early days of comics, the suit seems to be consistently using force fields a lot. This armor also takes into account of the odd electromagnetic transmissions. States here he activated his field, even though if the field isn't super giantly large, if that makes sense. I showed this earlier, but yeah, it makes him not even be able to flinch, like just the shield. He can even activate it from a distance, even if his armor isn't all the way on him. Like if somebody tries to pick it up, force field. Thanks to his knowledge and intellect, especially with the Silver Centurion, he's able to match and counteract beings that are made from purely of energy by making fields that counteract characters like Spectrum. I have a video on Spectrum to see how top tier she is. She's at least in those Captain Marvel levels of power, star ranges of power, right? Remember that this is the same Spectrum that phased through some of Zeus's attacks. Can actually pass through Magneto's shielding. She can move at ridiculously fast speeds, like even light speed. In her perspective, the world is moving slow to her. Evidently, even faster than Hermes, god of speed. She's the same Spectrum that did the fusion technique with Captain Marvel. No, I'm not playing. They literally fused together. Iron Man stated, "You are energy, but I make energy work for me." This dude had a counter for Spectrum, my dudes. Not only that, but this suit has the power of magnetism as well, and does it as so he sees fit. It states here, "I'll magnetize my armor to the missile, getting myself virtually part of it." Yeah, throws that missile like that. He has full control of it to where he can reverse it to push you away. He can polarize other objects. You does this, and it's really handy in battle feats or sticky situations. Magnetize, Examiner, your limbs bonded to your torso. This magnetism stuff comes in handy in stuff like this, repelling it in reverse. He can end the fight quickly by just keeping the villains off balance. Magnetizing those two guardsmen's armors can't put up much of a fight while they're stuck together. Yeah. Inconvenience. Can even move around metallic objects because of this on a consistent basis. You got to get the point. Battle feat too. Imagine fighting this guy and he magnetizes you somewhere you can't really fight him. He had a sparring session with Hank Pym. He uses energy disruption beam in his chest to short circuit his equipment. Well, thanks for sparring with me, Tony. You know, that's cool stuff. Battle feat too. Beings that are made of light are not even safe. Characters like Spectrum, you would think Iron Man would stand no chance against. And his abilities and armor technicalities can disrupt Captain Marvel, aka Spectrum at this time. Epic battle feat. Breaking up, can't hold my energy together. Yeah, the Spectrum. Wavelengths, disrupting your wavelengths. It has new features like being able to fold it up and put it on very conveniently. And it's not as heavy as you would think because he put it in a suitcase. Epic, right? If you mess up a circuit in this suit, it doesn't matter. The other circuits in the suit that are intact will just work overtime to make up for what circuits they did lose, to make the armor still work properly. You can't just shut down one of its arms or legs by doing so. It'll just like pick up the slack for it, if that makes sense. That could be just me though. And suit has heat sensors. It can sense plutonium. It can scan for psionic energy, residual energy is looking for it, all kinds of scanners. Ultraviolet, infrared, all kinds of those scanning. Sonic scan, thermal scan, built-in radars. He can sense magnetic fields, and that always on the scanners. And yes, this does have some chameleon tech, starting with the stealth stuff. Right there. Used it at this occasion, startled her. Can use this to track somebody really well. Of course, he can use this to investigate aim. You know what I mean? He would later on make stealth armor, but yeah, this is the foundation on which he wanted to improve his different armors on when it comes to the chameleon mode, aka stealth stuff. He has special suits made for stealth, like in my hour-long Iron Man video I did show. This is some interesting lore to see on why he stopped using this as much. Like, we not finna act like this suit ain't a beast, just like Iron Man in general gets lowballed, but just talking about this suit in general. Not in a tangle, one of the mightiest beings in the world, the Incredible freaking Hulk. Just look at the Hulk's facial expression. That looks like it's causing some type of discomfort, right? Or am I tripping? But of course, he didn't fight him one-on-one for long. The Hulk got back up from that. Wonder Man got into it. We were all fighting together against the Hulk. But we got to acknowledge he was not dead weight. No, he did get tossed around. And no, it's not me using headcanon on Iron Man being at least in the medium heavyweight tiers, aka attack potency in the star ranges. This is how Marvel ranks it. Marvel came out with this a while ago. And this is Iron Man in an older suit. That's not the Silver Centurion suit. The Silver Centurion suit should be at least on this suit's level, at least, or higher, depending on how you look at it. They classified him in the super heavyweights. But I will admit, they did mention like a little stipulation. They said with a potent enough energy source, I can charge my armor to this power level for about 2 seconds. So they're trying to imply he's not necessarily on these guys' level without some sort of power source or outside help. But that's something to be considered. He fought Spectrum. Gave Savage Hulk some discomfort or conflict, if that makes any type of sense, right? Spectrum feat is what really sold me, though. Being able to disrupt her energy consistently and giving her issues and even able to dismember her, you know what I mean? Yes, there's a reason why I say I think Iron Man is in the star level. Star level is not really a big deal in Marvel, so that might sound like, oh my God, he ain't got that type of potency. Well, just think of it like this. He might not necessarily blast away a star, but he might be able to blast something or harm something that's dense enough to endure a star exploding in its face, right? Check out this right here, for example. Enough photon blast to melt a hole in a star. She does not need binary to be star level, by the way, for those that like the lowballer for some reason. That's why I feel like Iron Man is in that tier, or higher, or slightly higher, depending on the Silver Centurion armor, or depending on what stage he's at, right? I feel like he's in this range of power fairly and respectively. But I want to hear you guys' opinions. How strong do you think Iron Man is in the Silver Centurion armor, or Iron Man in general? Have you checked out my other Iron Man video? The hour-long Iron Man video. Have you checked that out? Please check that out if you have it. Post some comments down below. Let me know what you all think. Check out those playlists, things of that sort, so you can binge watch through the channel. Hopefully, I'll see you later on the channel. I will see you guys.